All right. Hello, love. So today on Floating on a Cloud podcast, we are going to be talking with Heather Phillips. And right before, as we popped on, we realized that we are intermingling amongst two different circles of Spiritual Community Network and FemCity Global, and we're FemCity Global lifetime members. And here we've never really connected. So today we get to share this conversation with each of you. Heather has her with her honors of Bachelor's of Physical Education degree. Heather has completed her thesis about energy balancing. That is interesting. And how it affects muscles. Okay, I've got lots of questions already. So she, which is not anything that we've already prepared, but she is a course creator, author, speaker, mentor, international recording artist, director and vice president of Muscle Tuners Incorporated. Is that, or no, not International Incorporated, and on the global team for the Canadian ambassadors for Holistic Chamber of Commerce. She calls herself an energy movement mentor. I like that because I receive a lot of energy and how to move that around, but I'm not quite sure if that's what you're meaning. So we'll dive into that. And pain relief expert, as well as a muscle tuner specialist. So that must be like a certificate or a degree or something that we can dive into. She is passionate about energy, self-care, and empowers people to do energy self-testing to get unique solutions for to reduce stress and that sort of thing, and pain, and to be comfortable and have this joy-filled life. Heather is accepting registration for the Win the Pain Game workshop, which is starting March 6th through the 7th weekend, which we can talk about more of that in a little bit. So, let's see here. Where should we dive in? Let's start at the top. So I am very interested in knowing about, you wrote a thesis. So in your bachelor's degree, you wrote a thesis on energy balancing. How in the world did you, what's that take on it? Can we know that?
Sure. So because it's not just a bachelor's degree, it's an honors bachelor degree, there's a thesis attached to it. It's from a Canadian university. And I needed to get approval from my advisors to do this experiment, and it was an experiment. So it's been printed in, it's been approved by the university. And what I did was I had a control group and an experimental group. And I used the Cybex 2 machine, which measures the strength of your quadriceps and hamstrings, or biceps and triceps, or however the two opposing muscles that particular machine will test. And it was the easiest for us to do the hamstrings and the quadriceps. So that's the front and the back of the leg. So the pre-test was everybody, the control group and the experimental group. There were over 35 people involved in this experiment. They were all physical education people, like my peers. And it was run by the physiotherapy department. So we had to get permission from the university to use their equipment and so on. So everybody did their strength test first. So how you do it is sit in a chair and you have a machine taped to your ankle, or not taped, but secured to your ankle with a bar. And then you lift your leg and you pull your leg back, and you do it intentionally, up and back and up and back. And we did that for a specific period of time and encouraged everybody to go as hard and as fast as they could. And we did that with everybody, so it was consistent. So the next week, everybody came back, and half the group did an energy balance before they did the post-test. And the other group, the control group, just did the post-test. And it was exactly the same thing as the first week. You sit on the chair, you strap your leg into the Cybex machine, and you do your strength up and back and up and back. And again, everybody got the same treatment. Go, you can do this, go faster, or go hard, that whole thing. Because it's pretty hard to do for an extended period of time. So the results that came out of that was this energy balance, which I'll explain in a minute. My original hypothesis was that the energy balance would strengthen muscles. What I found out was it balances opposing muscles. And it's quite significant for the athlete or the everyday person, because when you have balanced muscles around a joint, you won't have as much joint issues. Most joint issues are because one muscle is stronger and pulling more torque than the other.
Yeah.
So that was that. Now, the energy balance itself was a Touch for Health energy balance. And the Touch for Health energy balance is all about finding where the energy is not, balancing it so that all the meridians are equal. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, see, there you go.
Well, so when you are talking, I'm getting like a little grin on my face because I'm thinking about my low back because it feels tense pretty much 99% of the time, even when I'm sleeping. I mean, it's always tight. I have to consciously try to relax it. And every now and then it will. And I mean, I know the power of thought, and I've been to chiropractors, and I've done my affirmations, I've done visual work, I've done yoga, I've done stretching, I've done all the things. And like, I'm not certain what it will take, but I do know it very much intensified after having children. And my abdominals used to be amazing. And I used to be able to like even do like a 45-pound or 25-pound weight and then do like full sit-ups. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. It actually like cramps up. So as you're talking, I'm like, opposing muscle, not having like, it's not balanced. And the other one is doing all the work, which is why it's all tense. So I'm like, yeah, they're definitely not balanced.
Well, right, exactly. So doing muscle tuning specifically, the muscle tuning component of Muscle Tuners International is a professional program. And so the muscle tuner specialist can help you with that. So I could help you with that. But the theory is that you need to switch on muscles first. Switch them on first. How do you do that? You do that energetically. So from an energy movement mentor, the movement of the energy is literally, if you visualize, there's 14 meridians in the body. Each of them have a role to play. Each of them have a circuitry. So there's one that goes from pumper to pinky. Guess what that one is? The heart meridian. There's another one that goes from lung to thumb. Guess what that one is? There's another one that goes from pointer to mustache. You won't know what that one is, but it's the large intestine meridian. And then there's some that go from the head to the feet, and there's some that go from the feet to the body. So if you do 14, if you think about 14 meridians and you think about each of them having a place in a house and all the lights are on in the house, you're going to have vibrant health and energy. And if you start to turn off the lights in the house, the light doesn't look so bright and it starts to dim. And if you have all the lights off in the house doesn't look alive at all. Mm-hmm. The human body is the same. You need to have your light on. You need to have your energy flowing. And if your energy is blocked in any way, shape, or form, it's going to start to cause stress in the physical body. And if you have the same energy and meridian systems clogged, so to speak, not flowing for long periods of time, your physical body will start to show which ones are shut off. And then it's up to us to know which one it is and to switch it back on again. And that's the education that I teach people. So that's when I say energy movement mentor. The movement is the flow of the energy through the circuits of the body. The meridian circuit. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. Does that explain it for you?
Yes, it does. So now I want to tie it to divine guidance.
Well, this is good.
Is it divine? Can we just tie it to divine guidance?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you how.
Okay. Dot the I's, cross the T's, all the things right now for me.
Okay. So in my journey from a 20-year-old, I had back surgery when I was 20. I did my honors thesis when I was 23. And in between 21 and 23, I discovered Touch for Health and energy balancing. So from that point on, it was my mission to figure out how to do this without somebody else pushing on my arm. I needed to figure out how I'm going to do this. Well, I found out how to do that when I was 24. And so my experience of the self energy testing or the self muscle testing was all about connecting to higher guidance, all about that. Well, I'm getting chills just even saying that. And that actually is my mission, and my personal mission and passion is to make sure that people know how to do this, because I wasn't gifted with vision. I wasn't gifted with knowing creator. I wasn't gifted with having that sense. I had to learn it. I had lots of questions growing up because I was brought up in the Christian faith, and I got exposed to all kinds of different faiths when I was in university, if you can imagine.
Yes.
So the self muscle test or the self energy test, energy self testing, really connected me to my higher self. And it was in that process that I really got to develop my intuition and my ability to trust myself, my higher guidance, my spiritual guides, all that whole realm that I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey has gone from there and then circled back to, wow, this did really, when I started to understand the spiritual connection that I had developed and that I had nurtured and experienced, I go, wow, this is really powerful. People need to know this. And I got a tap one day on the shoulder saying, you need to formulate this, put this in a book, get it out to the world. You need to teach people about this. And the self energy testing is like this much of what I've been asked to do and communicate to the world. So the muscle self testing, the energy self testing is the first, but it certainly is the most important in my life. And I've been able to. So what happened was I would do the self testing and I'd get the answer before I tested. It was in that moment. It was in that moment that I realized, oh, this is bigger than me. This is not me. This is my higher self. This is my inner guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of progressed and developed and unfolded from that point. But the fact that I was able to develop that relationship means that other people could too. That there is hope. There is hope for pain-free life. There is hope for comfort and joy and ease and grace in your life. There is hope for moving forward and flowing. And yeah, it's just amazing. We do need to listen to inner guidance. We just need different mechanisms to do that. And my energy self-testing, or not my energy self-testing, energy self-testing is one avenue to get to that experience and to get to that level.
So you were saying that you had to learn that you had this connection. And so I'm guessing that from that, you hadn't always had that connection. So talk to me about the time before that. Like, what was that like for you when you weren't connected?
Life flowed. Life was easy. Life just connected.
Before you had a connection, there was still this flow that happened, and you didn't have awareness of it.
Correct.
Okay.
So case in point, I did have a case in point here. Oh yes. When you're 19 years old and you're confronted with having surgery, the only decision that I knew how to make was the one that was right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was have surgery. That was the only decision that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the surgery and I did what the doctors told me, and I did the protocols that I was given. And I had a new pain after surgery. And I'm thinking, it was, you have to understand that I had no emotional attachment to anything that was going on. And you have a question, you had a question about that. And I think that's one of the keys, is not having attachment to an outcome, or not necessarily an outcome, but definitely the emotions. Just let it flow. So after surgery, and I had that experience going to physical therapy afterwards, I asked the physical therapist, who referred me to another surgeon, not my surgeon, a different surgeon, who then told me that, well, the only solution there was to go and have an exploratory surgery to see what was going on with the pain. It was at that point that I threw up my hands and said, there's got to be a better way. And then I let it go. And then within months, not years, months, I was introduced to Touch for Health, and it was the better way for me. And I'm getting chills again because I'm forever grateful for that introduction. And I'm forever grateful for the mechanism of muscle testing or muscle monitoring, which is the biofeedback loop from the body to the brain that got me really and connected with a totally different side of life. One that was spiritual, one that talked about spirituality. I always knew there was something bigger than myself. I just didn't know how to connect. I just knew that I trusted there was something bigger than myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really, yeah. And to understand when exactly that happened, I I'm not, when I threw up my hands, there's got to be a better way. Still wasn't conscious until, I don't know, a while later when somebody said, well, when you do that, when you just, throw up your hands and there's got to be a better way, that's a command to the universe, and the universe is going to take notice and provide for you. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. But I'm certainly grateful that something happened. And I did. And yeah.
I think we have those moments. I think many, how do I say this? From my observation, some people believe that we need to have all the information gathered before we make a decision. And from my own experience, my own naiveness, the naivety, is that the right word? Like, I didn't know all the things. I still don't know all the things. Like, I feel like there is something in us that just is innate, and we don't need to know all the details on how we connect to divine, or even if there is divine, but something in us tells us, hey, I don't like this. I think I want to be doing something different, whatever that is. For myself, it was along the lines of like a relationship. And it was like, I knew that I wasn't to be getting married. I knew there were so many times, and I didn't understand. I wasn't awake at the time. Wasn't communicating like I am now. I used to write letters to people, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just felt the need to write a letter, so I would. And the one time I did, it was to a gentleman. It was through a Christian Experience weekend, which is called CEW. And you're to write letters to these people that are experiencing the weekend. And so I did. No idea. I wrote about strength and his daughter, and I had no idea. I didn't even know. Like, I just wrote, but not knowing that I was connected. And he stands up at the end of the weekend and is like, I don't know who wrote this, but no one knew that my daughter died. Like, this is what made me go on. And I had no idea. Like, I didn't tell anybody because I thought, oh shit, like, I'm not going to tell people that I just wrote a letter and I don't know this person. Or like, I would call my sister and she was like, you have no idea how much I needed this call right now. Like, and like that sort of thing. But so I think we all have just this innate ability to know, like what you're saying is, I want something different. There has to be something better. I surrender, whatever that is. But we may not know that the cosmic gods of the universe are now working in our favor, and all the laws of the attraction and all the laws of the universe, or that we have galactic beings and some other, I don't know idea. Like, I still don't know all the things. And I don't know if I ever will know all the things, but I think it's something that is within us that is always guiding us.
Yeah.
So some of us, like what you're saying, need that physical sensation. When
Yes.
I first started, I didn't understand that I could be listening to my divine guidance. So I was just like, I know that there's something in me. I was raised Catholic, so I was like, I want to be a nun, because I thought like that was what women did if they want. I couldn't be a priest, so I was like, well, I want to be a nun. And then as I got older, I'm like, I would really like to experience some things in adulthood that nuns don't get to experience. and so that I'm like, no, I don't really know if that's the path for me, but I know that like when I would go to pray, it was like I was just sitting in the lap of God. Like that's the image. And so I just had this connection. So as I was developing, like, I know that there's something in me. All I did was practice yes or no's. And I feel like that's like muscle testing.
It is.
And so I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't introduced to muscle testing until I went to a chiropractor who used that
applied kinesiology.
There we go.
Chiropractors, applied kinesiology. Yes.
And he was able to, my husband went to all these different doctors because he had lost like 50, 60 pounds in a year, not trying, like it wasn't like a thing. He had gone to all these like kidney doctors because he's like, something is not right. Something isn't working. I know this. I don't like something in me that has completely changed. I just want to get to the bottom of it. And his sister recommended that we go up to Ohio. We were in Florida at the time and see this doctor. And so we went up and seen him, and he identified some of the things that were off with Craig. And he identified that he had a, not tapeworm. What's that called? Like it's, something in his, a parasite, something like this. It was a parasite, but it had like expanded, and he could pinpoint like right where it was versus like doing the applied kinesiology. So that was my first introduction to the muscle testing. But when I was just learning to listen, I would go for a walk, and what I would call just my intuitive walk. And we were living about 5-7 minute walk to the beach. So there was like dead ends because of water. So like I had to make a choice, like, do I go right? Do I go left? And it was nice out majority of the time. So I would just I would just ask yes or no questions, and yes felt light and right to me, and no would be heavy. And yes would like my body would be pulled forward, and my my body would be pulled back. And that's how me listening to my divine guidance started. And then it's obviously developed now into just channeling full on. So,
well, if people want to learn how to do the body pendulum, which is what you're explaining, I actually can provide a free gift if people watching want to click on a link that I can send you, or I'm not sure if you're posting this on different social medias, but I can send you the link for that. And we can post it with this podcast. Or you can email it to your listeners. I don't know what you want to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, and this is also, this interview is also for your listeners as well, and your connections, because I want to feature you and uplift you too. So it's not just me and my stuff, so this is for you too. So yes, of course. So body testing link, I just put that down as a reminder.
Body pendulum is also called a sway test, and it's exactly what you explained, where a yes response is forward and a no response is backwards.
And I knew nothing at that point. I was just like, we're going to figure this out.
Exactly. And people who really want to be connected, and people who really want to be listening to that inner guidance will find a way. I did the same thing. I trusted the muscle test because I had also experienced that with a chiropractor who was training to be a naturopathic doctor and was also studying applied kinesiology. Speaking of which, applied kinesiology is the professional side of Touch for Health. And it was two chiropractors who created it. Dr. George Goodhart on the applied kinesiology taught a lot of chiropractors, and Dr. John Thie created the Touch for Health reference manual, and created a whole network of instructors, which I am one. And what Muscle Tuners International did is we teamed up with Touch for Health, have a license with them, and we rebranded it so that we could get the information out to the world, but also we actually added some proprietary products or proprietary techniques to it. And then I branched off and created winthepaingame.com. and said, I want to really focus just on the self-testing, which is not Touch for Health, because Touch for Health doesn't teach self-testing at all. So because that's my passion, I said winthepaingame.com is where I want to go. I want to be really clear that you're going to master self-testing, however you do it. Can I share one other way?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you do whatever you want.
This is like, you guys need to know this. Okay, so the yes or no is like Sarah had said, just like you say, show me a yes, and you kind of let go of your consciousness. You kind of let go of the thinking. Show me a yes, and you move forward. And then you go, show me a no, and you go backward. If you're reversed, drink some water and do some cross-brain integration. Just do a couple of this stuff. There's one other exercise you can do, but it's really, hold your hand on your belly button and rub underneath here. It's K27s in Chinese medicine. Then do show me a yes, show me a no. Okay, so here's another way. Put your fingers like this into a teardrop, and you're going to just push your other fingers through it. See, so it's hard and it's easy, and it's hard and it's easy. So now say, show me a yes, and now say, show me a no. Show me a yes.
Like yes is like slip through, and then no is like, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, that's okay.
Is that backwards?
No, I would say not. But now say my name is, and say your name. My name.
Okay, my name is Sarah.
Yeah, and my name is Heather.
My name is.
There you go. So that's your yes and no.
What's this supposed to be?
Well, yes is there, and no is not. You know what? It's not this. To me, it's not the same as the body sway, because that definitely, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's easy and it's hard. So the yes is easy and the no is hard. The yes is easy, the no is hard.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? But in my case, the yes is I'm not going anywhere, and the no is I can't hold it, which is a stress.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So anyway,
now does that like reveal something about myself that I don't know, that I need to know?
No, you didn't reveal anything. Just your name.
No, like I don't know. Like I said, I don't know things, and then all of a sudden, like I do something, and somebody with spiritual knowledge is like, oh, actually, this is what's going on with you, and I'm like, ah.
Right. So I just wanted to let people know that if you're actually wanting answers, yes, no, you want to develop your relationship with your inner guidance, the muscle test, the self-energy test. These are self-energy testing, the sway test, self-energy testing.
Gotcha.
And they monitor energy. It's the subtle energy flow of the body that they tap into. So of course you can ask a question and get, this is really good. It's going to keep your energy circuit flowing. And then this is not good for you. And it's going to shut down your energy circuit. When you're talking about food, it's biogenic, which is energy supporting and give you life.
I try not to connect now. Okay, keep talking.
But bioacidic is food or things that you put in your body that take energy away. I always, in my courses, I say, never test a food that you're going to eat anyway, because as soon as you test it, you're going to honor your body. And if you test it and it says, no, don't eat me, and then you eat it, you've just dissed yourself. You've just said, just giving yourself the bird, whatever.
Yeah.
You actually haven't honored yourself. And then the other, so I mean, it's a step-by-step process, this whole connecting to spirit, doing the self-energy testing. It's a progression. And when you get to the point where you can actually sit and you can ask the question and spirit tells you the answer, you've arrived, and now you have to stay out of your own head.
Yes.
Right? You just gotta and trust it and do what you need to do to honor yourself.
Oh my goodness. That's why I always liked when somebody else muscle tested, because then I wasn't getting in the way. I was just like, versus if I do it, I notice then like I'm very stubborn and very strong-willed.
Well, that's the difference between your conscious or egoic brain, your conscious mind, and your unconscious mind, your higher self mind, your unthinking mind. So you're very aware of that. You already are quite aware of that. So it would be easy for you to develop that skill, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, I
It really
understand.
would.
Yeah. So how does it feel now when you are like consciously aware and in the flow of your connection versus before it was just you were still in the flow and it was still happening? What's the difference and how does it feel?
There has been times in my life where I've bumped up against resistance, which is my ego, which is I don't want to listen to spirit. It's the, that stubborn part of me. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to be in the flow. But it's not about not wanting to be in the flow. It's about really dealing with what's present in your life, and then having tools to let go of whatever is present in your life, and then getting reconnected. So pain is one of those things. Pain, fatigue, emotional upset, negative belief systems, those are all things that keep us in our ego, in our conscious mind, that keep us from spirit. So I can tell you at this point in my life, I have been fraught with ego. But now I feel like I have a choice. I think in life at points in time, we don't feel like we have a choice. And that lack of choice is definitely our conscious mind, our belief systems holding us back. And then, if you might hear spirit speaking to you, or you do a muscle test and then you go, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to listen. Well, that's your resistance. That is truly your ego thinking it's keeping you safe, when you know that spirit's going to keep you safe, that your connection to spirit is safe. So my job at this point in time is to keep moving forward and to keep delivering the message of energy self-testing, and it is possible to be connected. It's possible to be out of pain. It's possible to be out of fatigue. It's possible to have a life that you want and be free from all of life's little pains even. And the self energy testing is, for me, the first step. And then the second step for me was the connecting to higher self and to creator. So it's been a progression, but it's possible to be there. It's possible to trust it. And I guess our job is to continue to find ways and means to keep flowing and moving forward, and keep the energy, literally the life force energy flowing. So when I say energy movement mentor, I teach people how to keep their energy moving so they don't get stuck, and their energy flows to the point where they are going to be physically well, they're going to be emotionally well, they're going to be able to do things and have things in their life that they want and sometimes need.
I like it.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at right now, is in this passion plus the passion plus the like please hear me, please share, I want to share it with you, come join me, that kind of thing. I need to get the message out.
Yeah. And that's why I agree with that. I feel the same way. There's been many years where I've been gathering information and all the resources, and I've seen all the puzzle pieces being put into place. And now I feel like I'm at the point where it's also just like, here, like I've got it, here you go. I've got all the things in place, just go with it. And it's just flying.
I
I
know
love
that you're
that.
supposed to be interviewing me, but Sarah, how is so I'm a kinesthetic person, and I came at the spirituality side through kinesthetic, which is the
Yeah.
self-testing, right?
Yeah.
How did you come into the spiritual? Did you you have all the pieces together, but I don't, do they include muscle testing, or do they?
Oh, no,
That's
it
my
doesn't.
point. How did how did you come to this? Were you did you see it? Did you feel it? Did you hear it? Like, what happened?
I heard it. So how to listen to your divine guidance is what spirit gave me. But what I realized after working with, I don't know, hundreds of people and teaching them, I have had this for all my life. like I said, like I was raised Catholic, and I would kneel before mass began.
Yeah.
And mom and dad would do their thing, and then they would sit down. I'm 15 to 21 years younger than my sisters. So it was just like mom, dad, and I for 15 years of my life that I was like in the house. And so when I was kneeling, and it was just three of us, and they would sit down, I would remain, and mom would like be like, you can sit down too, you know? And I'm like the bottom, like the pews, like here, like that's how like I'm little. And I would feel like I was having a conversation with God, and not just this man on the cross that died. It was this energy of God and this immense amount of love. And it was this, there was this two-way conversation. I would be swinging outside again by myself. I had a lot of alone time. So maybe, and I had a lot of imaginary friends. Now I think they might've been spirits, but I would have a whole classroom full, and I wouldn't be teaching them 1 + 1 = 2. I would be teaching them what I learned that day, which is what I do now. Oh, I had this thought. You should know this too. So I'm really not all that different than the 3-year-old Sarah. So people may think like, oh, she's evolved so much. No. I just stepped into my own. So I've always had the gift of listening. What else? Through a series of, I had to learn. I wrote a book it's called Hateful to Grateful. And I feel from my own life experience that when we are disconnected from our inner wisdom, our divine guidance, we get further and further away from who we truly are, which creates a ripple effect of negative emotions down to like no self-worth or depression, self-hatred, that sort of thing. That's where I was, the hateful. And so the closer, and every little nudge that I took, and I would listen more and more and more to that divine guidance, I got to neutral, which is where then I was like, whoa, I can create my own life. This is not the life I want to be living. Peace out. I love you, but I don't want to be married to you. And then I changed things around. Then from there, I just took incremental steps and was listening, paying attention, knowing I was in Sweden. Yeah, we were out for dinner, and I was on I was getting my master's in public administration. We were gone overseas for 17 days on a trip.
Nice.
And I was sitting in Sweden, don't know the town. We were actually staying in Copenhagen, Denmark, and just took the train over for dinner that night. And we were having dessert up at this little coffee house. And I was sitting there, and I heard, it's time to move to Florida. And I was like, well, dang, all right. So I currently was living in Iowa, and it was time. And so I talked with the professor that was leading the trip, and I was like, so I heard that it's time, and I need to move. And he's like, well, then I guess you should listen. And I'm like, all right. So then on that trip in Paris, so we went outside of Paris, and we were sitting, in a church, one of the numerous churches that we visited on that trip. And it was after we left Paris. So it was like a small little town. And I was just by myself, like kind of just sitting there. And I lit a candle for a gal that's always been on my, like, she's always just been a great friend of mine, but she had MS. And honestly, I lost track of her, but because anyways, the long story short, I just lit a candle for her. And so I was sitting there, and I was just kind of sitting, like, just quiet. I wasn't even praying or doing anything. And I heard, it's time for you to let it all go too. Like, I had a lot of guilt for leaving my husband and ex-husband and stuff. And I was like, man, it's time for a lot of things. Jeez. So I went back to the professor, and I was like, man, it says I'm supposed to. He's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, I have no idea, but I hear this, and I just am going to keep following it. He says, well, then I suggest that you let it go. So I let it go on that trip. I let go of the guilt and such. And then at my going away party, the professor was asking us all, like, there's two people that myself and another man who were going on and moving to different parts of the country. And so we had a going away party, or they had for us. And the professor asked me, at the end of life, what is it that you want to hear? And he's like, whoa, now I know you're going to want to get deep with this, Sarah, but just keep it a little light for this audience. They can't handle all this deepness that's coming from you. And I was like, all right. And he's like, what have you been told over and over? And I was like, yeah, I know, it is time. So I feel like each step that I take, I'm always given when it's time to do that, whether it be to get married or to have my 2 girls. They showed up as souls and gave me their names beforehand. Whether it is to start this podcast or start a new program, or to start my own business or to give certain presentations or whatever. It's always those little nudges that I keep following. And that's what I feel we all are able to stay in alignment with. And that's really why I'm here, is to teach people how to lead with their soul, letting go of all the resistance and all the things that we're taught. And then we do that by listening to our own divine guidance. And now I've learned that we all listen differently. We all receive differently. So that's one of the reasons why I was wanting to have these conversations, is for my clients, for listeners to know that it's not just my story that you need to emulate, but there are hundreds, thousands, millions, whoever I end up interviewing, that all receive differently and have their own story and their own journey to having lots of floating on the cloud moments. And I say floating on a cloud, that's what spirit gave me, is that it's the feeling that we get when we are connected to divine, or when we are tuning in. It's just that feeling. So that's where that came from.
Do you know of Theta Healing?
People have asked me of that, and is it Donna Eden or something? Is that no? It's Theta. Yes, I do know there was a gal in the Des Moines area who is certified in Theta Healing. Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because when I do my Theta Healing sessions, I do them for myself and I do them with clients. There's a process to go up to the cloud. And that's my version. That's my vision of it. It's the 7th plane of existence, which is a beautiful, bright, pearlescent white light that you merge with, and you're sitting in a cloud. That's my experience of it. Yeah. So when you say floating on a cloud, it's like, well, when I'm in that theta healing place, which is with Creator, exactly how I feel. So, floating on a cloud moments. I've had several in my life at this point, and I look forward to many, many more.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to share about listening to how you did, any tips or tools, or how you even know the difference between a thought that you're thinking or a thought that you're receiving?
The thought that I'm thinking usually is attached to something. It's usually attached to something physical, emotional, a state of, I was going to say a state of being, but that's not quite right. And a floating thought, or a thought that I'm receiving, that's being given to me, happens when I'm not thinking at all. Yeah. It happens when I call it puttering. So if I'm in my house and I'm just doing the dishes and I'm listening to music in the background and I'm kind of just doing stuff, but I don't have any thoughts going on, I love that space. And those are the times that I get downloads of information or sayings or thoughts, or you should do this, or anything like that. Or I don't get anything at all, which is also very peaceful. And then the thinking is really about thinking. It's hard work when you think. It's attached. Thinking has attachments.
It does. I think a lot about, no, that's not the right words I want to say. Thinking is a lot of efforting. And I don't know if but that's just what it feels like. It's like, I was chatting with another gal this morning, and just expressing how before I would have a lot of masculine energy, so to speak. People would now that don't know me say I have a lot of feminine energy, and I'm like, I don't even know what the heck you're talking about, but I do understand now a little bit. But in my masculine, quote unquote, I would do a lot of thinking. I would over plan. I would over organized. And now when I'm preparing for conversations or whatnot, or even the question that you asked me, that's not the typical answer that I give. I just tuned in and what needed to be shared in the moment of what other people could relate to. And so, or it's like when Violet from Fem City interviews me and she has some questions, I used to overthink and over prepare them. And now about 30 minutes before I get on, I connect, I allow my divine guidance spirit to come through, give me little pointers, and then I just go on, which only takes like 5 minutes. So,
well, you know what I think is really important that you just said is, and I said, the overthinking. When I was in the corporate world and I was in finance and I would prepare for board meetings or prepare for staff meetings or prepare for whatever, and I would get really, really upset because I had what I needed to say, and if I got cut off, I felt really bad. I felt rejected, and I didn't get, nobody heard my voice, and all that stuff. And then because of that experience, I said, I'll just not necessarily wing it, but I certainly won't be as prepared, so that when I get cut off or I don't have enough time. That happens a lot in corporate, where you're given an hour slot and they cut you off at 45 minutes or 30 minutes just because of things that are happening, or somebody said, we have to get out of here, we have to get out of the space a half hour early or whatever. So you have to always be in flow, always be rolling and be ready for anything. And the point of my conversation here, this segment, is really to know what is required to set your intention. The setting of the intention is so important. So instead of setting the intention, I have to get through my agenda, or setting the intention of, I need to know I need to let the board members know X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and D. You communicate in a way that your intention is set. The board members will know exactly what they need when they leave this meeting. They will have exactly the information they know.
And I need to add a little bit to that too. According to like the body and connecting, where is that intention coming from in the first place? Is it coming from a heart space that you can literally feel it coming from this part of the body? Or is it coming from more of a cerebral, or like what part of your body do you feel that intention coming from? Because as I was thinking about, what is the intention that I set? And I set a lot of heart space intentions. And when I do that, it comes back. I mean, it just, the amount, like a new client every single day comes in, because it's not about the money that I receive, which is abundant and amazing. It's about the lives that are being impacted, uplifted, elevated, changed, positively speaking. And if I go in with that intention, that's coming from my heart, and I can feel that. Just tuning in. I don't know if I'm trying to like relate it to all that you're also sharing too.
well, no, it's true though, Sarah, but people don't necessarily know how that feels. If you run your heart meridian a few times, this is Valentine's month. So if you run your heart meridian a few times, and maybe I'll provide that link too, because I believe I think it's a free product. My business partner is working on it right now, but it's for Valentine's, it's for February. To get your heart energy moving, to get your heart energy flowing, to really be able to feel it in your heart center. So yeah, we people who are in the spiritual realm, who want to impact the planet in a spiritual way, are uplifting, as you said, uplifting and empowering people to get there, whatever means they are able to. And the people who are stuck in pain, or stuck in fear, or stuck in fatigue, are the people that are really not connected at all. And if there's any of those people listening right now, I ask and urge you to call Sarah if she resonates with you, or go to winthepaingame.com and see if anything on that page resonates for you, and just do something to move you from your pain space to something that's more uplifting and more spiritual and more comfortable in your body.
Brings you relief of some sort.
Well, exactly. Yeah,
and as you're
exactly.
saying about the intention and people who are in pain, I know it sometimes feels like it's hard to decipher what the intention, like your own intention is, but then like what the intention of others. A simple question that I share with others and I ask myself is this question or is this conversation or is this statement coming from love or fear? And you can ask it with yourself, but then others. So I had a client last night that I was helping reconnect her soul to her body. There's some things, I don't need to get into all things, but that's what was going on. And she had a conversation with somebody else who was asking her questions. And those questions like physically made me just pissed off. And I said, stop. Like, those questions are coming from fear and ego, trying to prove that this person that's asking you these questions is right and making you wrong. That should never be the intention of someone who is spiritual and trying to uplift and heal and inspire. It should always be coming from love. So if something is coming and you're like wanting to question, just be like, is this coming from, and not you, I mean like everybody, like ustedes, like whoever is listening, like, is this coming from love or is this coming from fear? And even myself, when I'm channeling, I have to ask myself, if I hear something that really resonates with me, I'm like, oh, wait, spirit, is this for me? Or is this for somebody? Is this for the person that I'm channeling for? It's usually for the person that I'm channeling for, because I set the intention that I am a clear channel. It's kind of like there is a Bible verse or something that's like, make me a channel of your peace. And I say that beforehand of like, I am this channel of peace. It's not that I'm trying to be peace, but I already am. And so I'm this clear channel that information flows through. I know I kind of birdwalked there, but I just like, as you're talking about intention and then fear and stuff, I just, because of the conversation last night, people are they what I have experienced from people coming to me, they want relief from physical, emotional, spiritual pain, but you also have to be your own advocate for your own relief and finding the right people with who are setting the right intentions for the conversation.
And if I can go one step beyond that, if people are kinesthetic and they really are the kinesthetic learners, when you do the self muscle testing, when you do the self energy testing, there is a decision tree process that I teach for ours, and it's real time, root, reveal, resolve. So these people who are in fear, anxiety, pain, fatigue, habits they want to break, if they learn the self-testing and trust themselves, get to the point of trusting themselves, and then they go through the decision tree process, they'll have their unique solution. And it's not going to be the same as the person beside them, because everybody's different. Everybody has a unique solution, but you have to trust that that unique solution is coming from their higher self in that moment. And they're going to be like the unpeeling of the onion, that once that outside coarse layer comes off, then the next layer will reveal itself, and the next layer will reveal itself. That was my experience when I learned this process. And I mean, I was a 24-year-old messed up in so many ways. And I think spirit was trying to talk to me and tell me, and all I did was kept going into the direction of, I need to learn muscle testing. I need to learn self-testing. I need to learn this decision tree. I need to follow this program. And it really inspired me and kept my heart, I don't know, heart centered, but certainly kept me grounded. and has been in my spiritual space since I was 24. That's a long time ago. And as I said, I've been nudged to bring this forward, to make it bigger and brighter and share it with more people. So there, as you and I have been talking, it's like, yes, there are lots of ways to get to that connection.
Yeah.
And my way's one way.
For sure. And how do we connect with you?
Wow. You can connect with me through Heather at muscletuners.fit, muscletuners with an S, .fit as in fitness. So muscletuners.fit, Heather at, or you can go to winthepaingame.com. And winthepaingame.com is a place where you can type in and be put on a submission form, and I will contact you. I will call you. As long as you leave me your phone number, I will call you, or I will text you and let you know that it's Heather Phillips and I'm going to be calling you. Is this a good time now or something?
Gotcha. Well, wonderful. Awesome. So email and website, and I'll link that to the video and or the audio that I will be broadcasting.
Perfect.
So.
And the offer, and I will send you
that's
the
right.
offer too, because I don't know the name of the offer at the moment. I don't know how to get to it at the moment. So
okay, yes. And it is the winthepaingame.com to reserve your spot for the next workshop. And then is it with Fem City or the Holistic Chamber of Commerce or something? I know you had mentioned.
Yeah. If you actually are associated with either Fem City or the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, then you need to say that in your message to me, and I will make sure you get a code to get 10% off.
Okay, awesome, cool. Well, we'll be sure to share that with the Fem City members as well. So thank you so much for your time and your energy in this awesome conversation.
Yes, it was really awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Sarah. And we'll see you in one place or another.
Sounds good.